Uh, yeah. 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 What's going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of River City 93. I'm your host, as always, Elliot Barr, and joining me is Mr. Matt Myers, who's going to help me understand why is the dreaded curse of being up a man starting to show his ugly head again. I thought we got rid of this thing. I thought we were done with this.
What is dead will never die.
it just randomly comes and just be there, and it's just like, ugh. Like, really? Like, just leave us alone. Just leave us alone. Yeah.
Yeah, always a fun feeling when you go up a man, 77 minutes to go, and you're like, well, crap.
So, for those that don't know, we're recording this like right after the game. So you're gonna get our your emotions on it. It's not like we already didn't already debrief this, but I mean,
We've had 45 minutes to come down, so you're not getting like the immediate reaction.
yeah, that's true. Not that immediate. Well, okay. Let me say this: like, I'm not mad with the result of this game. That doesn't make me mad. What I'm more so, I won't call it mad. What I'm more so annoyed with is how we went about losing this game. That annoyed me because this
Yeah,
was
like if
very
you had,
uncharacteristic.
I think if we had said last week, all right, you're going to have an away game at Spokane, top team in the league, and it's going to be 1-0 to them. You're probably thinking, okay, sounds reasonable, sounds about right. All right, sucks that we didn't score, but all right, held them to 1. That doesn't sound bad. But the way it played out is the the frustrating thing in all of this, which I'm sure we'll talk about and theorize, our ideas of why.
Yeah, definitely not my idea as well. So I mean, talking to Darren last week, Darren has made it known that guys who are playing deserve minutes. I mean, are earning a minutes based on how they practice or whatever. And then also on top of that, like, we don't really know who's injured and who's not, but I would have to bet that probably Griffin Garnett is out due to injury.
Oh, you missed that. Then they actually had an injury report up there that included
Oh,
guys' names. Yeah, Bill
oh,
Hart and Garnett were on there. It wasn't the full strength roster. Never mind these guys who aren't here.
did they list the reason why they were hurt, or just say that it hurt?
Come on now.
Okay, well, never mind. That's
How
asking
long you
too
been
much.
watching these broadcasts?
You're right. You're right. Yeah, that would have been asking too much. So yeah, a little peek behind the curtain. I was knocked out during the first half. That after church nap really kicked in.
You got Emmy'd?
I woke up and it was 8:02, and I was like, oh snap, the game's on.
Uh,
I looked at the score and I was
okay.
like, oh, it's 1-0. And then I saw the red card and I was very confused. And I saw how he got scored on, and I was just like,
Yeah. So I don't know. You want to get into the points you actually saw in the highlights? Because guess what? There wasn't a whole lot more than that going on in the first half.
no. I mean, I even looking on Foot Mob, like how they have like the commentary, like the key points is literally the red card, the goal, nothing in the second half. And that's how I feel in this game
It
because,
was a pretty boring game. Let's be real.
oh boy, like,
Well, I guess starting off with the lineup, you know,
yeah.
a couple noticeable items on there. Obviously, we mentioned Griffin still being
Mhm.
out. Jonathan Kanagwa getting his first start with the club. He was in the Chandler slot, so I don't know if Chandler's carrying some knocks. Like Darren alluded to that that he's been banged up a little bit when we talked to him midweek. So I don't know if that was the rationale behind that change. We saw Beckett, keep the left back spot, for another week. I think those are probably the two main different ones.
Yeah.
Vaughn, full on center back again, next to Gee. I think that Elliot, that's kind of going to what you were talking about before. Of we need somebody who can play the ball with their feet back there. So what you might lose a little bit in size or pace with Vaughn, like he can ping a ball if he needs to.
Yeah. It's kind of just like what are you willing to risk or give up in this? And I mean, that's what also like, whole totality of it. You saw Spokane definitely when it went down, man, they were just comfortable, like, all right, cool, we're just gonna pump in crosses because, I mean, we talked about it, and even they're interested. Like, one thing Gee struggles with is balls in the air. Vaughn is not on the particular tall side, and yeah, it,
Yeah, I mean, I do think it helps that Dak's right there in the midfield, so him and Vaughn can alternate if they need to, where they're positioned, because it's not like Dak doesn't have plenty of experience in the back line.
yeah. I mean, first of all, shout out to Kanagwa for getting his first start. I don't want to take away from that because, like, for him, like, that's big to get your first start. I don't Me personally, watching this game, I didn't really see anything for me to really that he didn't jump off the screen, you know.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think there's times when not jumping off the screen when you're a center midfielder is okay. To me, in this game, he felt like the epitome of like just a just a guy, like your classic interchangeable uh player on like any video game where at a certain point, like they're all basically the same.
Yeah. And I mean, for also like a lot of this team for tonight's game, just speaking on that, like it just felt like nothing we did nothing we did was really working because one, to get something to work, you need to be able to string together passes. And that is something that definitely watching the second half, I felt like we
Yeah.
struggled with.
Well, I mean, we'll get there in a minute, but two key things to, in the first half before we get to
Yeah.
anything in the second half
Right.
here. So, uh, first key moment of the game, our hero, you know, the paragon of virtue, angelic, Emiliano Terzaghi, brutally assaulted by I don't know whoever the guy was. I don't remember his name. I don't care what his
Cameron
name was.
Miller on a
Sure,
straight red.
yeah, trying to think he's Zinedine Zidane, 2006. Just goes in and again brutal assault, right? Uh, I don't know why. Actually, don't know why Emmy got yellowed in that whole process, too. But whatever.
A lot of the cards this weekend have been just across the league have been confusing.
Yeah, but
It's been a trend.
look, even if you think he didn't, actually headbutt Emmy, dude, what are you doing? Even making it look like that could be what's going on 3 feet in front of the AR, right?
Yeah.
It's like if nothing else, you deserve a red card for being an idiot,
It's like you put yourself in this situation. Don't do that.
right? And also let's be real, know who your opponent is here. Like, if there's one guy in the league who can probably maybe make something look good.
It's Emmy.
Emmy's probably a first round pick, for that sort
Yeah.
of thing, right? Again, I'm 95% sure he really did make contact, and it's fully merited. But know your surroundings on so many levels, uh, and it's one of those things where like, if you watched the screen closely, you could see because it was behind the play, you could see
Mhm.
Darren just make a beeline to the fourth official. I figured he was just pissed about some other call or something because, I mean,
It's Darren.
yeah. Have you seen a game in the last 5 years?
Yeah, yeah.
And then the ref stops play and he's going over towards that direction. I figured he's getting ready to book Darren for something because again, you can see that happen.
I
Although
would wonder,
Darren
has
doesn't really
Darren been booked before?
no idea. I mean, maybe a yellow somewhere along the way, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't been sent off at least here.
Okay.
Uh, but I figured it was something like that was going to be happening because
Yeah.
Like, what rational person would think that happened behind the play?
No. Like, yeah. So I mean, open man, you would think like, okay, the kickers can get them, get some control of this game because, like, Spokane is a very technical team. With the players they have, like, they are a very technical team. So it felt like we should have had an advantage, and it just never truly felt that way. Like, it truly just felt as if, like, even with Spokane down a man, it felt like they were still like, and we didn't help this with how many times we lost the ball, but they just felt comfortable on the ball.
But there's no real adjustment to the game plan,
Mm-hmm.
and I think for the first half that's fine, right? You don't want to throw out everything that you planned for against a good team on the road just because of
Yeah.
one minor change. And we know from plenty of history, like, yeah, being down 10 men can be a disadvantage, but it's not a death sentence. That's been
Mm-hmm.
proven the whole world over many times,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, it's not a matter of like, all right, well, up a man now, let's use all our subs early and change everything up. It's like, all right, let's stay the course, get going. Granted, staying the course wasn't leading to much before, didn't lead to much later.
It felt like we stayed the course a little bit too long, especially in the second half. But
I can agree with that, yeah.
yeah,
But
I agree with you. The first half, yeah, I can understand. Like, stay with what you worked on because it's not like Spokane was generating shots from very close. Now, granted, like the chance they scored on, Simon Fish assisted on it, which
yeah, they had one header off of either corner or free kick that went right to Sneddon. Other than
yeah,
that, they weren't doing anything either in the first half. It was a game fully played, you know, between the 18s at that
yeah,
point, which honestly, I think both teams probably would have been, fine with 0-0 going into halftime with that kind of a scenario.
right, probably so.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's not how it happened.
No.
No.
So I
So,
mean, once again, this is another game where the kickers give up a goal within the last 5 minutes of a half, which, uh, granted, that doesn't help because like Spokane, that's Spokane, Greenville, Westchester. There's one more in there I'm forgetting, but another, giving up late goals. Like,
and for me, it's not the late goal piece because I feel like that's
it's the way how they're conceded.
yeah
I think
yeah
that's
it's
what
the,
I'm
it's
annoyed.
the fact that it's another set piece goal.
Yeah, and not even that. Like on a set piece, it's the fact of just the clearance, like just the urgency of
No,
getting the
no, no.
ball out of. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where you thought the issue was.
So, well, the way how I watched it on the highlight was, it does look like a comical error because Snanny goes up high for the ball. I can't tell if he mishandles it or just gets like a poor punch out on it. But
It looked to
then,
me like he was a full 2 seconds, 2 yards behind, uh, the ball entirely. Like he's not even close to the ball.
yeah,
And I'm sorry, that's unacceptable. Goalkeeping right there. And look, yes, again, I know we like the young guys. They're coming up through the system and everything. How many times does this guy get to be directly at fault for giving away goals before there's consequences? Like, I never thought I would say this. I want to see Pablo play in goal. Right. Look, you
yeah,
got this one, you got the Alta goal, you got the Westchester goal. Those are all pretty much directly on him.
yeah,
Earlier in the half, he had, a clearance that bounced off one of their guys, thankfully went out for a goal kick instead of, deflecting in, to the goal. We've seen him have, these frequent errors. Yeah, he makes some, nice, stops on the ball. But that's a little bit of goalkeeping right there. Like your goalkeeper cannot be a liability like this, and every 2 or 3 games literally gift the other team a goal. Like, do I think it means it's the end of his career? No, but
no,
take some time, sit on the bench, observe, keep getting better, get another shot down the road. But yeah, like you can't have that.
yeah. It does. I mean, it doesn't help either. Like you have that misclearance, but then on top of that, like Simons, the way, and this is entirely. I won't own this. This is entirely hindsight is 2020. Like you will always. I would love it if Simon is able to clear that ball out and not in, just because when you like anytime you're clearing the ball like back into the path of goal or in that direction, something bad is bound to happen, and it did
Oh,
with it deflecting off of was it
how do
Darwin's
you think
back?
he's how do you suppose he's going to get the ball out wide right there with the way the ball's moving, the way his body's shaped?
That's what I said. It's hindsight 2020. I just
Like
like just turn
that's
around.
just
I don't know.
that's a stupid bad luck that he clears and it bounces, right off of
Yeah,
Beckett's like shoulder or head or whatever it was, and then it was just Pelea's, you know, getting first on the ball
yeah,
and toe poking it in, from there. So that part's bad luck, but none of that happens if Sneddon isn't in another zip code at that point, because he's not by the ball, he's not in the goal. It's just a mess of a free for all that we came out on the wrong side of there.
yeah. And I mean, he did better with some of those area balls in the second half because I felt like Spokane once they realized was like, oh, all right, let's challenge him in the air. Like he got better from it because he had a couple of clearances, but you know, I think those are definitely the two things I want to see Sneddon improve. And maybe you're right. Like maybe it's time for him to take a seat on the bench. Just maybe a couple of games here and there. See what Pablo can give you. I mean, we know what Pablo can give you. Just give him a time to have that break on the bench. Because you're right. Like the errors here having are leading directly to goals, and he's not yet experienced enough where he can automatically like clear those out. Like he can have the mistake and then but he can have the mistake, but it doesn't lead to like a chance on goal. If that makes sense, what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
in Kira, 2022.
yeah, just it's part of the learning curve, but uh, I know you want to get him built up and everything, and you can still do that.
Mm-hmm.
Just I think it might be Pablo's time.
Yeah. Becca Howe got to start. Thoughts on his performance? How he played there in the left back spot?
He's fine. I think for Beckett, the it's a
He had
hard
3 chances
comparison.
created, which I didn't know. Just saw that. Wow.
How many? They said he created chances.
Yeah, he said, well, these are his stats 34 out of 38 accurate passes, 3 chances created, 4 passes to the final third, but the crosses, one
Oh,
out of 6. But he
I'm
wasn't
struggling to think of three
dispossessed
chances
either.
this team had overall, so I'm not buying this 3 chances created stuff unless they're going with the good old he took a corner kick, so therefore it's
It's
a
a
chance
chance
created.
created.
Yeah,
Probably.
because we've seen this like some of these past years where it's like how do how do you figure Neil's creating the most chances in the entire league because like we're not shooting the ball ever or we're not doing anything. Oh, he took all of our corners and free kicks. That's how they're counting those.
Ah, that's how you did it.
So I, I think with Beckett, like on the defensive side, pretty solid, there, but he just isn't offering much, going forward. And Darren's system so heavily relies on the
Yeah.
outside backs, getting forward and providing service. And right now, that's not a total zero, but it's pretty close to a zero, and noticeable difference than when Maxi's in there.
Yeah. I think I do like what I've seen from Beckett. Like he is a serviceable left back, and hopefully that it's the same thing with Fitch. Like when Fitch got started, he was a lot more defensive than attacking, and the crosses we were always hemorrhaging on. So maybe that's the part of Beckett game that will grow with time. Yeah,
I think he's so much more of a center back who can play left back right now than maybe a true long term left back.
yeah, I can see that. I just wanted like, yeah, yeah, I agree with you on that a lot
So
because he does
yeah,
have the frame for it.
he's fine right now. Like he's not one of the problems
No,
with his team at the moment. It's just that
oh no, no, no,
the
no,
thing that
no, by any
Maxi
means.
brings, is pretty unique and different to the other options they're bringing. Something that adds
Yeah, he's like
a
another
pretty important
midfielder.
dynamic to our attack.
Yeah, he's pretty much like an extra midfielder that plays left back. Like he can help get into those pockets because that's the other thing too. Like with this formation, we were talking about it. Like this team being in a 4-4-2 it just felt as if like we weren't able to really defend the midfield at all. Like we had problems. It seemed like we kept getting overloaded in the midfield, even being down a man. And like a team like Spokane that is very technical on the ball, that has good dribblers such as Denton, Gill, Reedy, like, it just felt as if one, we couldn't complete a pass to get the ball out the field and control the ball in midfield. But then also with the only 2-minute midfield, it just felt like we just kept getting passed around in a circle because we're trying to put out this fire to contain this. But by the time we get over there to do that, like then the ball switches and we're getting beat. Because there was a lot of switches in this game where the kickers will overload one side and try to press them in, and Spokane will find a way how to get out of it, switch the ball, and then it would be one-on-one with Beckett Howe or one-on-one with Simon Fitch, and then across to the far post.
I don't think that's new to this game, though. I mean, that's been happening. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
can go back to
no.
the first game against Tormenta. Like,
Yeah.
they, ripped through the defense. I mean, through the midfield twice, for their goals. And I think that's just going to be, one of the things we got to deal with, with the current configuration of midfielders that we do have, because they are who they are.
Yeah, no, we know who this team is. So that's what I'm saying. Like the result doesn't frustrate me because, I would have been cool with a draw. The thing that frustrates is just the way how we played. Like the one shot on target, being toothless in attack. The amount of times it wasn't even like Spokane dispossessed us. It was just the ball would come to a player and we couldn't control it. So the ball would either go out of bounds or it would be a loose or a very hard touch, and Spokane would get on it. And it's just like, guys, like, you got.
It's one of these things right now that it just feels like, this team is all or nothing. It's like, all gas, no brakes, high scoring battles, or the most dire, chess match, kind of, games with almost nothing created from either side. And we've seen a few of these this year, like Charlotte away. Yeah, we lost that one, but that game was not necessarily, I think, a fun one, to watch. Chattanooga, had the weather conditions with it, but they also had weather conditions a few days later against Naples, and that game had 4 goals in it. This was pretty rough as a watch. Like the Omaha game, we won that one, but it was a little rough.
Yeah,
if you're a neutral to watch, and it's fun. I mean, that's not necessarily bad. Like, if it's what helps the team win, fine. Like, I don't need fireworks. Like 3 points in the standings is, fireworks enough, for me, if that's what it takes. But like, whatever happened, just a good old 2-1, type of game where, all right, there's some stuff going on, but it's not, like defense optional, sort of things.
Yeah, it very much related. That's what this team is. It's very much defense is optional. Like, I don't mean that. Like, we just like, we're not playing defense today. It's just like,
well, no, they're playing one or the other, either attacking or defending. It's never both at the same time.
It's never both. Yeah, no, it's not. And the other part of this game that's also confusing to me is like the substitution. Like, I'm not mad at who came in the game. It's just a matter of like when they came in that is confusing to me. You get what I'm saying? Like, because granted, like you're down a goal, you're trying to press for it, but I think if I'm not mistaken, the first substitution, so 57th minute, he takes Kirkland off, brings in Maxey. Then
that was a double sub because Bolda came in at the same time.
Oh yeah, Bolda came on. Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Came off.
Kanagwa came off. So like, all right, cool. So now you can tell he's definitely going to a 4-3-3. But
it was hold on. It's always a 4-3-3 in attack.
Yeah, and well, no, like it's definitely that. Like it's no longer like I don't think he has anyone underneath Emmy because at this point,
Darwin in.
Oh, he did.
Right. It looked like Maxey was playing wing at that point.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like at this point, I personally would have. Okay, this is going to sound bad. Like I'm okay taking Emmy off because if you're going to go to this method of we're pumping crosses into the box because this iteration of this team struggles with breaking teams down. like with intricate passes, and that's Emmy's like Emmy has scored from headers, but Emmy's strong suit is getting the ball to his feet, turning, and making something magical. Spokane wasn't going to give you that kind of space, so you're like, all right, cool, we got to stretch them out and pump crosses in, and you just saw Josh Kirkland make a run on the back post that
And
if he goes with his head
what
or make any kind of contact on, it
your
might
argument
count
is we
in.
just saw him, not even try to head the ball.
Well, I'm just saying, like we saw him just make a run, so I'm like, all right, cool, keep him on because Amy didn't give you anything in the second half.
I would disagree with that. Emmy's a guy. We've heard this from Darren a lot, right? Emmy's a
Yeah,
guy who, really needs service to be able to
that's
thrive. Like
true.
none of these guys are able to get him the ball in a dangerous spot. Like, but we know that he can drop deep and be able to provide connecting passes. Be able to hold the ball up and spray it out. Also, yes, he's not been scoring much this year, but he's still a guy who can actually has a nose for the goal. Like
Yeah,
you need a goal. Like I don't see the point in taking. I wouldn't see the point in taking. I didn't see the point in taking him off when they did take him off.
yeah,
Later on,
yeah. Very right. Once
right?
again, hindsight is
Because
2020.
well, the bigger issue I had with the subs, I'm mostly the same as you. Like I didn't mind who came in, but all right, we're down 1-0. We need a goal. Why is every substitution still fitting into the same shape pattern? You know, it was always making sure we still had the four in the back. We had Dak. We had the midfield structured the same way and all that. Like even when Emmy came off, it was so Chandler could play center forward. It was Darwin came off. It was so that way
It felt very
Hayden
cautious. It
Hayden could
felt
play.
very
Like,
cautious.
yeah, who the hell cares if you lose 2-0 versus 1-0? Like the odds that goal difference is going to be the decider at the end of the year is so minuscule that
Yeah,
like, who cares? I'd rather go for it because going for it, you might be able to get that point, and then yeah, if you need to, you can reconfigure how guys are playing to be able to hold on to a draw, or maybe even go for it afterwards. But 0 points with a -1 versus 0 points with a -2, who cares,
right.
right?
Yeah,
That's the part. That's the part that drove me more nuts. Like later in the game, we don't need Vaughn, Dak, Gee, Simon, all of those guys out there together.
yeah. Throw him in the box. Like
Or
definitely
sub one of them,
Dak.
or sub one of them out and leave Emmy or Darwin on when you're subbing in other attacking guys.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't have to be like for like.
you're right. I guess it's like I guess I would have liked to see Chandler come in earlier than what he did because 80 minutes, 10 minutes left. It just felt like all right, we don't have enough time to really.
Yeah, I thought he must have been hurt because again he didn't start and then he didn't come into that first wave of subs. So I'm like, all right, is he like banged up or something?
Which
Because
he must have been. He had to be because that like a healthy Chandler, and like I doubt like if Chandler's healthy enough to give you 40 minutes. I mean, we've seen it before him being auxiliary forward. Like he's probably our best set piece, like head on target. He's definitely scored a bunch.
could have been useful. It could have been probably quite useful in the midfield.
Yeah.
Right. Other thing that frustrated me was I I haven't looked at the dimensions of that field, but why were all of our crosses getting airmailed past
I
everyone?
do not know. Like there were so many going to the back post. I don't like guys. I think there was one set piece. It was around the 70th minute where like I counted like 4 or 5 players at the top of the 18. I'm like, y'all, like, why are y'all at the top of the 18-yard box? Get inside the box, like just crash the box. That's how Spokane scored on us. They just crashed the box and caused chaos.
Yeah, and I don't mind playing the ball, the back post. I mean, that's how uh, you scored that goal against Greenville when Chandler
Mm-hmm.
got his. Gee heading the ball back across. Like they clearly were trying to run that play a couple times, but okay, yeah, maybe first one, maybe the first two go long, but at a certain point in the game, you got to realize take a little heat off the ball, like course correct a little bit here
Yeah.
instead of just turning all of them into insta goal kicks.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what it really felt like this game was. It felt like the kickers didn't do the right corrections necessary when they needed to, and then in the course of doing that, might have never really corrected themselves, like in terms of crosses, passes, things like that. This is a game that, and there's a few games like this year where it felt as if, all right, this should have been a draw. Like the Charlotte game, this game,
Yeah,
it just
it's fair. Like, there's no world in which the Kickers deserve to win this game.
no.
But I think you can make an argument that a draw could have. Well, no, I'm not even going to say that because it didn't create anywhere near enough to even earn a point out of there. But like all the factors around it, it's not a game you should lose.
Yeah, no. We didn't do enough to take this game over.
Yeah.
We didn't do enough, and it didn't help because I'm pretty sure the players are going to be more annoyed with themselves than more so Darren being annoyed with them, because it's just like you did not control the ball, and without you controlling the ball, you're not like, it's going to be hard enough to beat teams being up a man, like your bottom of the table teams like Texoma, Chattanooga, Tormenta, let alone being the top team in the division who's now on a 5-game winning streak. When you can't control the ball, that's going to be impossible to do. So, yeah. So, I mean, now you look at it, like, if you look at the last 5 matches, the Kickers over that course, 3 draws, 2 losses, 8 goals scored, 10 goals given up. And based on form, that will put us 13th in the table. The only team worse than us is Westchester, who has 2 draws, 3 losses, same amount of goals scored, but 13 goals given up. So,
yeah, I mean, haven't won a game since April 9th. So,
yeah.
like, it's not going. I was going to say it's not going bad. I'm almost ready to say it's going bad. It's definitely not going well right now, though.
I wouldn't be, yeah. I'm still at that point where I'm like, all right, this team is performing how I expected them to. Because once again, none of us had this team like as a top 4 team. Even on the position on the table, they had us as that. I think when I last did a points per game table, I think we were like 5th. So our place on the table matches that based on points per game.
Yeah, math still can skew that so quickly early in the season.
Yeah.
So, let me run this exercise by you real fast.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to ignore the 4 that are ahead of us in the standings right now. So we've played 10 games, have 12 points.
Mm-hmm.
Would rather be in our spot or Chattanooga, 7 points from 10 games? Who would you rather be right now, us or them?
So we're 10 from 12, and they're 7 from 10.
No, we're 12 from 10. They're 10 from 7.
I will still take us.
Okay.
I will still take us.
Greenville's on 9 points from 8 games right now. Would you rather be us or Greenville right now?
I'll still take us.
Okay. All to 8 from 7.
I do like how AV Alta's playing. Yeah. I would like that a little bit more.
All right. Madison,
a little bit more
also
balanced.
8 from 7.
Well, given Madison has drawn their last 5. Yeah. I'm halfway on that one. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, we could go down the rest of the teams, but very rarely is clearly a situation where it's like, oh, yeah, I'd much rather be in our spot than the opposite spot. I think Texoma is probably the only one where I'd obviously be like, nah, I'd rather be us. Like, even Omaha, who's 5 points from 6 games, I think I'd still rather be Omaha than us right now.
Yeah. I mean, based on how these teams are playing, like, if you ask me like the form of how these teams are playing, like Chattanooga's a good spot because I mean they're just gritting out games. AV Alta has made a change. So like maybe those two. But outside of that, like I think Greenville is still very iffy. Union Omaha just had a bad loss to Texoma.
Yeah,
So,
I still think once they start playing home games, they'll be fine.
Yeah, maybe so.
But and the best thing going for this team right now is that everybody else in the league, keeps on drawing.
Yeah. I mean, even Madison, like we just said, Madison had 5 straight draws this past week. I mean, 5 straight draws, and they're struggling at the attack.
Right. So, I'm worried that the table's going to be, a little bit of a mirage and kind of paper over, some of the, things that are really going on because, like 1.2 points per game, like that's usually right around, the cut line number, from previous years. And with more teams in the league, I don't know how that's going to mess with the math for that. But yeah, it's. I'll be interested to see how this goes as other teams start to play their games in hand. But more importantly than that, I think next Sunday at Westchester is a real kind of show me what you got moment for this team. Like,
oh yeah,
are you legit? Are you going to be in it for the long haul, or is this just a team that's kind of go through the motions? I can see any of those outcomes coming at this point, and I generally don't know which one it's going to be.
I mean, okay. So it felt like this game against Spokane was a prove yourself game. Like this was the game where it's like, all right, if the Kickers want to say they are one of the, let's say, top 4 teams in USL League One, right? Like this was a game where if you win it, hey, you're up there. Okay, you not solidify yourself, but you're showing that you can go into a place like Spokane, get a win. A draw was like maybe feeling the same way. I think the way how we lost this game shows us there's still a step to go to get to that level. But I still have faith that this team is a playoff team. I don't think we're a home playoff team, but I think even with teams getting games and hands around us, like, because I mean, also we're the team that has played the most games this season,
right?
Which doesn't help us. Would us have played these many games already this season? You would have liked to see us create a little bit more of a buffer,
Right. And that was my whole point.
Yeah, and we haven't done that so far. So, but I still have confidence. Like Chattanooga's going to come back down to earth. Avialta's going to come back down to earth. The real question is like Madison, Union Omaha. Like, did they start going, and did they start clicking off? Like, did the Kickers go from 5th to then 6th, 7th? Which is maybe our range. Like, because I think all of us had them in that range of like, on the on the great end, this team is a 5th place, 4th place team. On the back end, this team is between 8th and 9th. And that's
You think that's the floor?
I do. I think me personally, I just think this team is still in that playoff range. I don't see us falling.
No, they can be, but you think it's not possible this team finishes below 9th?
Oh no, it's definitely possible. I think, but I just think like what I've seen in this team so far and watching some of these teams around us, like other teams are more willing to shoot themselves in the foot than the Kickers just bottoming out, like just completely going feeling on.
How many times have we talked about this team makes the dumbest mistakes and shoots themselves in the foot, and you're making the case now that other teams do it more than us?
I mean, there's been some cases of some teams making dumb mistakes. Well, it doesn't help either. Yeah, man, we do make some dumb mistakes.
I mean, I feel like that's every other episode we do is
we do.
This team has just stopped making dumb mistakes. They'd be good.
I know. I just want to have hope that this team can get in the playoffs. I can't.
Don't wrong. I want that too. I'm just trying
to. I know.
I'm trying to mentally prepare myself for the slow slide down as other teams start to play more games because like
Yeah,
it will happen.
it will. Because I mean, we talked about it. I mean, we haven't talked about it yet, but the Kickers' next break isn't until
4th of July
that game
weekend, I
at
think.
well, really July 28th to July 12th. I mean June 28th to July 28th, where we play Lexington and what's the U.S. Open? Not U.S. Open, Jägermeister game, and then we get like more than a 2-week break, playing off Chattanooga on the 12th at home. So I mean, a
Well,
lot of games.
that's gonna be 3 games in a week right then because you got
Yeah.
Leganes coming in the middle of all that.
When is that game? The 16th?
July 16th. So that's going to be
Oh yeah,
right in the middle of right after the break.
yeah, yeah. I would have really liked that game to be in between that break, but it is what it is on that. So yeah, so I mean, also I just did the points per game. We're on 1.2 points per game. So
that was easy to figure out right now because we played 10, so this is the
yeah,
week that the math is easy.
right. But I mean, you do have a bunch of teams kind of slowly catching up around the table, so we'll see how that goes. Well, the whole league takes a break on May 31st, so that's another thing as well. So
Well, that's
this
Jaeger
is
week.
oh, okay. Oh, snap. See, this is why this schedule thing throws me off because I'm looking at the league schedule and it's like no games on May 31st. And then yeah, whatever. So Westchester. Westchester, by the way, just are coming off of a draw with Ford Madison. These are two teams who, after the last 5 games, are at the bottom of the table. Almost similar records. Both teams have been drawing on in. I mean, drawing in, losing on in, scoring in multiple games, but also have been leaking in the back. I think Westchester just signed a defender. I don't know really much about him, but I did see
Yeah, they
that.
got some guy from Charleston.
Okay.
I don't know anything else about him other than they signed him from Charleston.
Yeah.
So
Signed it from Charleston.
immediately awful person.
So yeah, the last thing these two played against each other was 4-4, very open game. Do you think we see that same thing? Or like how did Derek go about approaching the game? Because assuming Griffin Garnett's out.
Well, let's assume that it's the same set of guys, right?
Yeah.
Available. Same set of guys available, that
Mm-hmm.
is.
So the same lineup against
Maybe
Westchester.
Chandler back in.
Okay.
That's the one concession, I'll make. Maybe Maxey goes back in the starting lineup as well.
Yeah.
Uh, I still think we're going to see the more cautious approach that we've seen the last, couple games, as opposed to the wide open, kickers that we saw for, a month or so there. So I would be stunned if we saw another 8-goal game,
Don't
through
be
here.
fast though.
Uh, I want to prepare everybody for this. You thought we've seen some, hard to watch, surfaces so far. Westchester, I think, might be the 1 seed, this year in terms of awful stadiums. So get ready for full turf, full football lines, like full, you know, color, end zones. So all the best things with Greenville, except high school version instead of college version.
And also the other thing is like Westchester, damn, they only have one shot on goal. That's bad. But I'm still laughing at the fact about the goal that Westchester scored against Madison. Because Madison goalkeeper had no right jumper for that. Like he just fell falling in the air.
Yeah,
He
saw
committed to the
Emmy's
bit.
goal from the Alta game. He's like, all right, I see you. I'll up you by 20 yards and put it on the fly.
Right. Do you think Westchester gets a pin in this game, given that they lead the league in pins
No,
given? I hope not. Oh
that's based on absolutely nothing other than I don't want them to.
no. So the thing about this game, we've been saying it is this is definitely the proving game. Like you got the kickers. This is the get right game. This road trip we've talked about it before. Like 4 points would have been cool, or 5 or 6 would have been great. Chattanooga game was a dumpster, so that was a draw there. This game you would have liked to see a draw, but a loss was like, okay, cool. Like this is the game I think we would have been comfortable with. Like, all right, this is the game you lose, then so be it. But definitely, you got to beat Westchester. Given the fact that you didn't beat Chattanooga on the road, you got to come out of this road trip with at least 4 points, so you don't fall behind.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's time to show everybody who they are, and I think this is the game where it's kind of mask off.
Yeah, and also like I don't want to see this team play cautiously. Like I want to see them like go for it, go attack, because this game against Spokane, I think it was just a lack of bite and attack that just was just like, guys, you guys have got to go. Like we've seen this team before. Like even in games in which they are down or losing, they will still shoot. There's no like, oh, we're playing a save, we're trying to build up. Like no, just shoot it, just go. And that felt like that was missing this game. So if we could get back to that, it will help out in the long run. Do you think Pablo comes in for this game and they bench Snedden, or you think Snedden gets to?
I assume no. I would like I said earlier, I would like to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
And that's just purely based on how he's playing, like right now, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
And it sounds weird because Pablo led in 4 last time he played, but like none of those Louisville goals I thought were his fault.
Yeah,
it's more of a message sender change than yeah. I'm really excited that you're going to play instead.
It's like I just need you to go out there and settle things out. Yeah. So I mean, we got Westchester on the weekend. That's Sunday at 2:00.
Yeah. They don't have lights, I don't think.
Yeah. I swear, when Westchester said they were coming into this league, I swear they said they were going to have their own stadium. I didn't realize it was going to be a high school stadium. I thought it was going to be their own. Yeah, but whatever.
Yeah, well, what can you do?
Right. Whatever. So with that being said, anything else for you, Matt, before we wrap up, my good man?
I don't think so. I mean, look, as frustrating as this is, could be worse. We could all be Toronto Maple Leafs fans because, whoo boy, that's a bad existence.
Yeah, that's not gonna be fun. Yeah, I don't got anything else to really wrap up. Make sure you go back and listen to the Final Whistle, where we talk to Darren monthly. So don't forget, we do those episodes once a month.
Yeah, and he is shockingly candid in some of those responses.
Yeah. He is not afraid to tell it like it is. I will say that. So make sure you go back and listen to those episodes. But with that being said, for Matt, for myself, and for the rest of the crew, we will holler at you guys next week. Where hopefully, fingers crossed. Oh, I don't think we're recording on Sunday, but we'll talk about that later. I think because it's Memorial Day weekend. Have a good Memorial Day weekend. Be safe. Congrats to all the graduates as well. I think Jess's son just graduated from VCU. I never on screen correctly. But yeah, congrats to all the graduates. Yeah. With that being said, guys, make sure you like, follow, share, and subscribe. Follow us on all the places and Ko-Fi.com. And we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully we're talking about a win. So be easy and be safe.